Welcome to Starship TV. Ignatius Loyola Donnelly was a multifaceted American figure who left his mark as a congressman, populist writer, and promoter of unorthodox theories. While he achieved considerable political influence and literary success during his lifetime, he is now often remembered for his fringe beliefs concerning Atlantis, catastrophism, and the authorship of Shakespeare's plays. His life story is a fascinating blend of political activism, literary ambition, and a persistent pursuit of unconventional ideas. Early life and education. Born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to Irish Catholic parents, Donnelly was christened Ignatius Loyola, a middle name he later dropped. His father, a physician, died when Ignatius was young, leaving his mother, Catherine Gavin Donnelly, to support the family by operating a pawn shop. Despite financial hardship, Ignatius excelled academically. He was admitted to the prestigious Central High School of Philadelphia, the second oldest public high school in the United States, where he demonstrated a particular aptitude for literature under the tutelage of Principal John S. Hart. After graduating, Donnelly pursued a career in law, becoming a clerk for Benjamin Brewster, who later served as Attorney General of the United States. Donnelly was admitted to the Pennsylvania bar in. He married Catherine McCaffrey, and they would eventually have 3 children. Early career and moved to Minnesota. Donnelly resigned his clerkship and ventured into politics, delivering campaign speeches for Democratic candidates. He also became involved in communal home-building schemes, reflecting an early interest in social organization and reform. Sometime in the he drifted away from the Catholic Church and did not participate in organized religion thereafter. Fueled by the westward expansion and the allure of opportunity, Donnelly and his wife moved to the Minnesota Territory. With fellow Philadelphian John Nininger, he founded the town of Nininger City, envisioned as a thriving industrial and cultural center on the Mississippi River north of Hastings. Donnelly actively promoted the town through his erudite newspaper, the Immigrant Aid Journal, published in both English and German to attract settlers. While the initial prospects were promising, the financial panic devastated the venture, leading to the town's abandonment and leaving Donnelly as one of its few remaining residents. Political career. Despite the failure of Nininger City, Donnelly remained in Minnesota and embarked on a significant political career. He initially aligned himself with the Republican Party, which was gaining prominence due to its anti-slavery stance. Donnelly proved to be a highly effective orator and campaigner. Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, he successfully ran as the running mate of Alexander Ramsey and served as Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota during the tumultuous early years of the Civil War. U.S. Congressman. Donnelly was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives for 3 consecutive terms. As a radical Republican, he advocated for strong measures to protect the rights of newly freed slaves, including extending the powers of the Freedmen's Bureau to provide education and support. He also opposed high tariffs. However, his independent and often outspoken views led to clashes within the Republican Party, ultimately costing him their support for a 4th term. Populist movement. In the Donnelly became increasingly critical of the Republican Party's growing ties to big business and the perceived exploitation of farmers by railroads and banks. He became a prominent voice in the burgeoning agrarian protest movements. He was instrumental in the Anti-Monopoly Party and later the Greenback Party in Minnesota. State legislature. Despite losing his bid for re-election to Congress, Donnelly remained active in Minnesota politics, serving multiple terms in the Minnesota State Senate and the Minnesota House of Representatives. People's Party, Populist Party. In the late and early Donnelly played a crucial role in the rise of the Populist Party, a national third party that championed the interests of farmers and laborers. He penned the powerful preamble to the People's Party's Omaha platform, a document that articulated the core demands of the populist movement. Vice presidential candidate. In the final year of his life, Donnelly was nominated for Vice President of the United States by a faction of the Populist Party known as the Middle Road Populists. However, the populist movement had begun to decline by this time, and their ticket garnered little support. Literary pursuits and pseudoscientific theories. Alongside his political career, Donnelly was a prolific and often controversial writer. His literary output spanned various genres, from poetry and novels to works of historical speculation and theories. Early works. His first published work was a long poem, The Mourner's Vision, written at the young age of 18. Atlantis, the Antediluvian World. This was Donnelly's most famous and commercially successful book. In it, he argued that all known ancient civilizations were descended from the advanced civilization of the lost continent of Atlantis, which he claimed had been destroyed by a cataclysmic event. He drew upon mythology, archaeology, and linguistic comparisons to support his claims. which were largely dismissed by the scientific community but captivated a wide popular audience. Ragnarok, the Age of Fire and Gravel. In this work, Donnelly proposed that a comet had struck the Earth in prehistoric times, causing widespread destruction and forming the uppermost layer of the Earth's crust. He linked this event to various myths and legends of global catastrophes. Shakespearean authorship controversy. Donnelly became a prominent proponent of the theory that Francis Bacon was the true author of the plays attributed to William Shakespeare. He published several books on this topic, including The Shakespeare Myth and the massive 2-volume work, The Great Cryptogram, Francis Bacon's Cipher in Shakespeare's Plays, in which he claimed to have discovered hidden codes within Shakespeare's works that revealed Bacon's authorship. These theories were also widely rejected by mainstream literary scholars. Utopian and dystopian novels. Donnelly also ventured into fiction, often using the genre to express his social and political concerns. His dystopian novel, Caesar's Column, a story of the 20th century, written under the pseudonym Edmund Boiseaubert, depicted a future America ruled by a ruthless oligarchy, leading to a violent worker revolt. The novel, which even predicted technologies like radio, television, and poison gas, was a bestseller and further enhanced his reputation within the populist movement. He also wrote Dr. Huguet, a novel which explored racial prejudice, and The Golden Bottle, or The Story of Ephraim Benezet of Kansas, a utopian novel with political undertones. Later life and legacy. Donnelly's wife, Catherine, died in. He married his secretary, Marion Hanson. Ignatius Donnelly died on January in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the age of. He is buried at Calvary Cemetery in St. Paul, Minnesota. His personal papers are archived at the Minnesota Historical Society. Ignatius Donnelly remains a fascinating and controversial figure in American history. He was a dynamic and influential political voice during a period of significant social and economic upheaval, championing the cause of ordinary farmers and laborers against the perceived power of monopolies and financial elites. His contributions to the populist movement were significant, and many of the reforms he advocated for, such as government regulation of railroads and a more equitable monetary system, later gained traction. However, Donnelly's legacy is also intertwined with his pseudoscientific theories, particularly his claims about Atlantis and the Shakespearean authorship. These ideas gained considerable popular attention. Ultimately, Ignatius Donnelly was a complex and contradictory figure, a progressive political reformer with a penchant for unconventional theories. He was a gifted orator and writer who could captivate audiences with both his political rhetoric and his speculations. Despite the controversial aspects of his intellectual pursuits, his impact on American politics and popular culture during the late 3rd century is undeniable, making him a compelling subject of historical study. You're listening to Starship TV.